Hi there guys, my name is Jacob and welcome back to the channel. Now about 2 weeks ago I made a video and I explained to you all that I was about to have a solar panel and battery system installed at my house, and 2 weeks have gone by and they have been a pretty busy 2 weeks, but now I can happily say that system is now installed at my house and it went incredibly smoothly. So I just thought I would talk you through that process, explain to you exactly how things are working right now, and also answer a few questions that I got from the last video. So I may as well start with what I have had installed. So the original plan was to have 12 solar panels, all with their own Tigo Optimisers, a 9.5 kilowatt GivEnergy battery, a 5 kilowatt hybrid inverter from GivEnergy, and a GivEnergy EV charger. So that was the plan going into the install. Now it's slightly changed, and pretty much all of it stayed the same, but the only change was there was actually more space on my roof, on the side of my roof, where they could get an additional panel on. So as the install was happening, the guys from the crew that were doing the install came over to me, asked me would I like an additional panel put in on the side. And of course I thought more the merrier, so I went with it. So I actually got upgraded to 13 panels. All the rest of the equipment stayed the same, but I ended up with 13 440 watt panels. So overall the system can produce, it's a 5.7 kilowatt system that I have ended up having installed. And I am incredibly pleased with how everything has gone. Now, just to let you guys know, I am in the Midlands and my installer was a company called Ace Solar Energy, and they are based in Wolverhampton, which is pretty local to where I am. And they were brilliant from start to finish. From my initial, contacting them, inquiries about what type of equipment I could have and all that type of thing prior to the install. Their knowledge, explaining how different things worked and putting up with all my questions, they were brilliant. And the install crew that came were absolutely fantastic. You wouldn't have even known they had been here, if I hadn't have been here, kind of thing, other than the panels on the roof and the equipment installed. They didn't leave any mess, no damage to anything. I was incredibly pleased with all the work they've done and just how smoothly the system works. Now, I don't know whether, rightly or wrongly I thought this, but I thought there would be a few hiccups along the way. Maybe the equipment wouldn't, work as smoothly as I hoped it would, or, there might be a bit of a teething process getting everything set up. But I was amazed by the end of the day where they put, everything in. We were generating almost as soon as they'd finished, which was incredible to see, because it's been a long time planning this system. And you have these hopes in your mind of how well it's going to work and, being able to power your own house through solar. But I'm also aware it's January and everybody keeps telling me that the generation from solar panels in January, or just in the winter in general, is incredibly poor. So not really to expect any type of generation. But let me tell you, I have been amazed over the past week that it has been live. We have had a day where we generated 14 kilowatts in one day. We had another day where we generated 12 kilowatts. And, this is at the end of January, kind of second to last week of January, where from all the reports I've read and things online, people say that, the generation is so poor, it's almost pointless. But my solar system has absolutely proved that wrong. And I have been charging the battery overnight. I've moved on to a tariff that you can only get if you have an EV or solar panels and a battery, and it's called Octopus Go. But I've moved on to that, which means I can charge my battery for 8.5 pence overnight. So on days where I'm not expecting there to be much sun, I can still run the house off very cheap energy. If there is sun and we do generate, then fantastic. At the minute, I don't benefit from an export rate because that's not been set up yet. I'm still waiting for the DNO, I think it is, to come back with an export number or whatnot that I can give to Octopus. But then once I have that, I'll be able to export any excess energy and get paid for that energy. So that will be brilliant to be able to get that set up. But for the moment, I just have the panels and the battery and the system's working. I can import on a cheap rate, but I can't export. Well, I can export, but I'm giving it away for free, which is a little bit of a sore point, but you know, it's not the end of the world. It'll only be for a few weeks. Now, I'm just going to go through a few questions that I got from the last video, and you know, I haven't had time to answer them, so I just thought I would put them in this video. So the first question is, who provides the warranties for, you know, the equipment, solar panels, things like that I mentioned in the previous video? Well, my battery and EV charger and inverter are all covered by a 12-year warranty, and that warranty comes from GivEnergy, which, you know, it's their equipment. So they provide a 12-year warranty with that. And amazingly enough, my solar installer, which was Ace Solar Energy that I mentioned earlier, they also match that 12-year warranty. So I can basically get in touch with either Ace or GivEnergy in that 12-year period if I have any problems or faults. And, you know, I assume they will come out and either fix the problem or change the equipment. So that it gives me real peace of mind. And the panels themselves, I believe they are covered by a 25-year warranty. And again, I think that is the manufacturer's warranty, which for me is a company called Jinko. But again, my solar installer matches that warranty, incredibly enough. So if I do have any problems, they will either come back out and fix them or swap a panel. And I believe there is also a 25-year efficiency warranty on the panels, which basically means after 25 years, they have to be performing at least 80% of their specified, you know, generation capacity. They can't have degraded any more than 80%. And if so, I guess you can get them swapped. So that explains the warranties on everything I've got. Now, somebody asked me when I mentioned in the previous video that I was getting a 12-panel system, and they asked me, would I not benefit from getting more panels, or am I confined to roof space? And that is why I've only gone for 12. And yet the answer is basically, I could have got more panels. I've only had the panels on my east and south facing roofs. I have a north facing roof, but I haven't had the panels put on there because north facing panels aren't supposed to work as well. Now, to be honest, I've looked at a lot of things online where actually people say they have got north facing panels and they are surprised at how well they work. But to be honest, having panels on the front of the house would have probably bothered my wife more than I would like. So we didn't go with any panels on the front, but we did go for 5 panels on the side of the house and 8 panels on the back of the house. And that basically maximised those 2 bits of roof. It maximised the roof space with how much we could get on there. Now that kind of goes on to the next question. And the next question I had was, do I have any concerns about how my house will look with panels on the roof? Now, I can straight away say I had no concerns because we've got an older house. The roof is very old. And to be honest, I always thought that, you know, nice, good looking black, all black solar panels, they're going to look a lot better than the roof currently looks. And that has proven to be true. The roof now looks so much better covered with these panels than it did before. But my wife was massively concerned about how the house would look. You know, would they look silly? You know, would they look out of place? But I'm so happy to say that post-install, she actually loves the look of them, which is obviously, you know, I breathed a big sigh of relief when she told me that, because I know that was something that she was concerned about, and I'm sure she would not have let me forget it if she didn't like it afterwards. But thankfully, she loves it, which actually really surprised me. But yeah, she says it looks better now than it did before. So concerns about how the house looked actually weren't needed really. It looks better now. I also mentioned in the previous video that I had a quote from Optimus Energy for a very similar system that I've ended up going with. And Octopus ended up quoting me £13,500 And that was for virtually the same system. It had the 9.5 kilowatt battery, it had the inverter, it had the EV charger, but they quoted me for 10 panels. And they basically said that I could not fit more than 10 panels on my roof, which I guess that's interesting because I've ended up with 13 panels on my roof. So I'm not quite sure how they work out the sizing, different to my installer that I went with. I guess they, are on the side of caution where they don't want to put too many on just in case, or they don't want to quote you to say they can put too many on and then have to knock it down at the install stage. But they basically wouldn't budge from saying I could only have 10 panels. And when you couple that with the fact that they were £4,000 more expensive than the installer I went with, then it was a no-brainer, really. I would have liked to have gone with Octopus because they're a huge company, and I thought, that would give me more peace of mind, going forward over the many years I'm going to have this system. But, going with Ace Solar has worked out really, really well. Not only has it saved me a lot of money because my system cost me £9,000, but I've also ended up with a better system. I've ended up with more panels on the roof. So I cannot complain at all. So I have no regrets going with Ace Solar at this point, and I would have absolutely no hesitation in recommending them to other people. And the final question I had was around the panels kind of paying for themselves, the payback period, and would I not have been better putting that money into another investment vehicle such as, stocks and shares, a savings account, a high yield savings account, something like that. And truthfully, I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows really if I'd have put that £9,000 into a stock or whatnot, maybe I would achieve a better return. Maybe I wouldn't. But to me, there's more to purchasing a solar panel system than just the finances. Now, I know, it's different for everybody, and that may not be the case for you. You might be doing it purely for the finances, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think 90% of people do. But I definitely did it for the finance side of it. But there's also more to it for me personally, that I wanted kind of that energy independence from it. I wanted to be able to lower my monthly bills. I love the feeling now, and I kind of knew I would, but the last week, knowing that everything I'm using in the house, currently I've got the washer going and I've got the dishwasher going, two very high-powered devices, and they are being run solely off the generation that I'm getting from the sun right now. And that's about 3 kilowatts, and we are on the 27th of January. So in a supposed very poor period of the year for solar, I'm running the washing machine and the dishwasher off solar. And to me, that is such a good feeling. And I've had this feeling now for the last week, every day. And it's funny because even my wife has said, I have been a lot cheerier and kind of more excitable the past week. And it's because of this solar system, which I know is, it's the stupidest thing, but I am a bit of a nerd for these type of things. And I just love, the thought of, powering our own house, powering, everything we use, and not needing the grid, and not needing to pay somebody for these things. Running the dishwasher probably costs me, I don't know, 30, 40p normally. The washing machine probably costs me 50p to run, something like that. And now it costs me nothing because I'm running them from the sun, which, I know I've paid £9,000 for this system. It's not free. However, over time, it will pay for itself. And to me, it's a no-brainer, and I couldn't think of a better way to have spent that money. And yes, that is just my personal opinion. You may think different, but I honestly, I'm so glad I've done this, and I can already see this is going to bring me an immense amount of joy for many, many years to come. So I wouldn't hesitate to do this again if we were to move house, or, if somebody came to me, such as a couple of family members have actually said, would I recommend doing it? And I said for them to wait a few months and kind of see the data from what my system produces and things like that, and then make that decision for themselves. But over the last week, I would already say it's an absolute no-brainer. And I cannot wait for spring and summer to come, where I've got the export set up, where I'm getting paid, 15, 20 pence a kilowatt, to sell it back to the grid. I can imagine I'm going to be making quite a bit of money over those summer periods, over the next few years. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. But yeah, my initial thoughts on it all, after about a week of having it all installed, is it's probably the best thing I've ever spent money on. And I don't think you can say much more than that. I've got nothing but positive things to say about it at the moment. But, maybe that'll change in the future. But for right now, I am just reveling in it. So there we have it, guys. That is my little summary of my solar system. And that is just the update that I've got after a week of having it installed. If you've got any questions for me, maybe I've missed something, maybe you didn't understand something, let me know down in the comments below and I will happily either get back to you or I will make a follow-up video answering your questions. If you are interested in swapping energy providers, there is a link down in the description box as well for Octopus Energy. That is the provider I am with. And if you use my link, you will get £50 as a credit on your account when your switch goes through. And just for transparency, I will also get £50 for you using my link. But, I would be super grateful if you did. Guys, if you could hit the like button and the subscribe button as well. And I will catch you in the next one.